The Reckoning Vessel. Commander Ilara Voss stood motionless before the observation window of Ganymede Station, her weathered face illuminated by Jupiter's distant glow. After 20 years of service in Earth's defense fleet, she had finally been given the command that would change humanity's destiny forever. "The reckoning is ready, Commander," Lieutenant Kai Chen said, stepping beside her. "Final systems check complete." Ilara nodded, her eyes never leaving the massive silhouette floating in the station's construction bay. The EDF Reckoning, Earth's first true interstellar warship, was a monument to human determination. 3 kilometers of gleaming hull plates and concealed weapon systems, built in secret over 15 years. "Has Earth Command transmitted the final authorization?" she asked, her voice steady despite the weight of what was to come. "Just received," Kai confirmed, handing her a secure tablet. "Operation Breakout is officially sanctioned." For 80 years, humanity had been confined to their solar system by what the galactic enclave called a protective quarantine. The official reason: humans were too violent, too unpredictable to join galactic society. But 6 months ago, everything changed when a damaged alien scout ship crashed on Mars. Its databanks revealed the truth. Humanity wasn't quarantined for their protection. They were caged because they were feared. The Enclave, a coalition of 7 advanced species, had been systematically identifying and containing civilizations they deemed evolutionary anomalies. Species that adapted too quickly, learned too fast, or showed too much potential. Humanity topped their list. All department heads report to the command deck, Ilara ordered into her comm unit. Departure in 30 minutes. The walk to the Reckoning's bridge took them through gleaming corridors, filled with crew members making final preparations. Each face Ilara passed showed the same mix of determination and anxiety. They knew what breaking quarantine meant. Potential war with the most powerful alliance in known space. "Tactical systems online," reported Major Diana Wells as Ilara took her command chair on the bridge. "Shield capacity at maximum. Adaptive defense grid ready. Engineering reports quantum drive spooled and stable," Kai added from his station. "We can reach the quarantine boundary in 16 hours. Ilara activated the ship-wide communication system. "This is Commander Voss. In less than 1 day, we will cross the boundary that has contained humanity for nearly a century. The Enclave believes we are still struggling with basic fusion technology, while they've been harvesting resources from systems that should have been ours to explore." She paused, looking at the faces of her bridge crew. The Reckoning carries the combined technological achievements of a civilization that refused to accept its chains. "We don't seek war, but we will no longer accept imprisonment. Earth Command has authorized first contact protocols. We will attempt dialogue. But make no mistake, we will not return to our cage." As the Reckoning detached from Ganymede Station, a feeling of quiet intensity settled over the crew. The massive ship accelerated away from Jupiter, its revolutionary quantum drive leaving no traditional engine signature for Enclave sensors to detect. 16 hours later, the moment of truth arrived. The quarantine boundary wasn't a physical barrier, but a network of automated sensor platforms that alerted Enclave forces to any attempt to leave the solar system. "Boundary crossing in 60 seconds, Kai announced, his voice tight. "All departments report ready status." Ilara stood, her posture rigid. "Activate stealth systems. Passive sensors only. Let's see if we can slip past before they notice us." The Reckoning slipped across the invisible line without fanfare. On the main display, the boundary markers appeared as small, unassuming satellites, innocuous guardians of humanity's prison. "We're through," Diana reported, almost whispering. No alarm signatures detected. For 10 minutes, they maintained course, the tension on the bridge slowly beginning to ebb. Then Kai's console lit up with urgent alerts. "Multiple ships approaching at high speed," he reported. "Configuration matches Enclave patrol vessels. 7, no, 8 ships." "They've detected us," Ilara said calmly. "Put them on screen." The main display showed sleek, silver vessels arranged in an intercept formation. Each was smaller than the Reckoning, but moved with an unnerving precision that spoke of advanced automation. Incoming transmission, Communications Officer Park announced. A stern, multi-eyed face appeared on screen. The being's skin was pale blue, with ridges where eyebrows would be on a human. Unidentified vessel, you have violated Protectorate Directive 1173. Your species is under quarantine preservation protocols. Return to your system immediately or face neutralization. Ilara stepped forward. This is Commander Ilara Voss of the Earth Defense Force vessel Reckoning. We are aware of your directives and reject them. Humanity was quarantined based on false pretenses. We seek dialogue with Enclave leadership regarding our immediate recognition as a sovereign spacefaring civilization. The alien's multiple eyes blinked in what might have been surprise. Human vessel, your technological capability exceeds our assessment parameters. This represents a severe security breach. You will power down your engines and prepare for boarding. That won't be happening, Ilara replied. We're willing to meet with Enclave representatives at a neutral location to discuss terms, but the days of giving orders to humanity are over. The transmission cut abruptly. They're charging weapons, Diana reported, her fingers dancing across her console. Targeting solutions incoming. Defensive posture, Ilara ordered. No offensive action without my command. Let's show them what they're dealing with. The Enclave ships fired simultaneously, energy beams converging on the Reckoning from multiple angles. Earth scientists had predicted this exact scenario. It was standard Enclave protocol for dealing with quarantine breaches. What happened next changed the balance of power in the galaxy. The Reckoning's adaptive shield system absorbed the combined firepower without strain. The energy was not only deflected but captured and redistributed to the ship's own systems. Shields holding at 97%. Diana reported, unable to keep the pride from her voice. Their weapons had minimal impact. The Enclave ships are adjusting formation, Kai said. They appear to be preparing a second volley with modified frequencies. Let them try, Ilara said. Tactical, prepare a precision demonstration. Target the lead vessel's propulsion system. Minimal yield. Show them we could have done much worse. When the Enclave ships fired again, the Reckoning responded. A single pulse of concentrated energy lanced out, bypassing the lead ship's shields as if they weren't there and disabling its engines with surgical precision. Their flagship is dead in space, Diana confirmed. The others are falling back. New transmission incoming, Park announced. Different source. The face that appeared on screen was different, a senior official, judging by the elaborate uniform. Human vessel, this is High Commander Talon of the Enclave Security Force. Your technological development is unexpected. I am authorized to open preliminary discussions regarding your status. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. We've been hoping for this conversation for 80 years, High Commander. But first, a demonstration of good faith. Withdraw your vessels, and we'll continue our discussion. The alien official hesitated, then nodded. Acceptable. There is an outpost in the Proxima system. We can meet there in 20 hours. After the transmission ended, the bridge crew exchanged glances of cautious optimism. They're actually backing down, Kai said, disbelief evident in his voice. For now, Ilara cautioned. Set course for Proxima, but maintain combat readiness. Their retreat was too easy. Her instincts proved correct. As they approached the designated meeting point, the Reckoning's advanced sensors detected anomalous readings from one of the disabled Enclave vessels they had left behind. Commander, the ship's AI interface, ARIA, reported, I'm detecting quantum band transmissions from the disabled Enclave ship. They're not standard communications. Analysis? Ilara asked. The data packet structure suggests a covert dispatch. Contents unknown, but the transmission is directed toward Enclave core systems, not the Proxima outpost. Ilara considered her options. Alter course. Let's pay that disabled ship a visit before our meeting. As the Reckoning approached the drifting Enclave vessel, detailed scans revealed something the initial encounter had missed. "Commander," Aria's calm voice announced, "I'm detecting life signs aboard that vessel that don't match Enclave biological patterns. Multiple species, confined to a secured compartment." Ilara's expression hardened. "Prisoners? Or something else? Prepare a boarding team. I want to know what they're hiding." The boarding team, led by Major Wells, returned 2 hours later with disturbing news and several frightened aliens of various species. None were members of the Enclave's ruling races. They were being transported to a processing facility, Diana reported, disgust evident in her voice. "These people are from worlds bordering Enclave space. Their planets were approached with protection agreements similar to what was imposed on Earth, but when they resisted, one of the rescued aliens, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin, stepped forward. They take our resources, our technology, even our people. Those who resist disappear. My world, Araxia, was once a center of art and philosophy. Now it's little more than a mining colony. This changes our approach," Ilara decided. "We're not just fighting for humanity's freedom anymore." She turned to Kai. "Set course for Enclave Central Command. It's time they answered for more than just our quarantine." As the Reckoning changed course, heading deeper into Enclave territory, humanity's first true interstellar voyage had become something more significant, the beginning of a reckoning that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. The Liberation Protocol. The Enclave Central Command was located in a star system that had once been called Tau Ceti by human astronomers. Now it bore the Enclave designation, Administrative Sector Prime, a sterile name for what had become the heart of galactic oppression. As the Reckoning approached the system's outer boundary, Commander Ilara Voss convened a meeting with the representatives of the species they had rescued. "We need to understand exactly what we're dealing with," she told them. The Enclave presented itself to humanity as a benevolent guardian, protecting less developed species from the dangers of premature expansion into space. Tellerus, the willowy Araxian, who had become their unofficial spokesperson, gave a sound like bitter laughter. A convenient narrative. "The truth is far simpler. The Enclave exists to ensure the dominance of its founding species. The rest of us are resources to be managed." "How many worlds have they subjugated?" Ilara asked. 37 that we know of," answered Nex, a stocky being with crystalline growths along his jawline. "My people, the Vorten, were quarantined a century before Earth, when our scientists developed quantum communication that could bypass their monitoring systems. They abandoned the pretense of protection. Now my world is strip-mined for crystals that power their ships." Ilara nodded grimly. "And humanity would have been next." "You still will be," Tellerus said softly, "unless we can change the balance of power. Your ship is impressive, Commander, but the Enclave controls thousands of worlds." "Numbers aren't everything," Ilara replied. "Aria, display the tactical assessment." The AI projected a detailed analysis of Enclave military capabilities based on the data they'd gathered. "The Enclave's technological superiority is largely illusory," Ilara explained. "They've deliberately suppressed innovation among subject worlds while maintaining a carefully cultivated image of advancement. Our analysis suggests their actual military capacity is concentrated in a few key installations." Major Wells pointed to several locations on the projected map. "These command nodes coordinate their entire defense network. If we can disrupt them simultaneously." "We'd need more ships," Kai interjected. "Not ships," Nex said, his crystalline features catching the light as he leaned forward. "Contact. There are resistance movements on every subjugated world. What we lack is coordination and hope." Ilara considered this. "Aria, how quickly could we establish secure communications with these resistance groups?" "Using modified quantum entanglement protocols, nearly instantaneously," the AI replied. However, we would need to distribute receiver nodes to each world, which means we need allies within the enclave itself, Ilara concluded. Teleris hesitated, then said, "There is one possibility. Not all members of the enclave governing species support the current policy. There's a faction. They call themselves the evolutionary cooperativists, who believe the suppression of other species is ultimately self-defeating. Can you contact them?" If we can reach the Araxian delegation at Central Command, yes. The plan came together quickly. The Reckoning would approach enclave space under the guise of accepting the previously offered diplomatic meeting. Meanwhile, a small team led by Teleris would infiltrate Central Command to contact sympathetic enclave members and distribute communication nodes to representatives of subjugated worlds. As they entered the Ta Ceti system, the Reckoning was immediately flanked by a dozen enclave warships. "They're not taking any chances this time," Diana observed from her tactical station. "Nor should they," Ilara replied. "Maintain diplomatic protocols. We're here to talk." The enclave ships escorted them to a massive orbital station, a gleaming construct of impossible geometries that served as the administrative heart of their interstellar empire. "Docking protocols received," Kai reported. "They're directing us to the diplomatic sector." "Proceed as instructed," Ilara ordered. "Infiltration team, prepare for deployment." While the enclave officials were distracted by the formal reception of Commander Voss and her diplomatic team, Teleris and 3 human specialists slipped away through maintenance corridors that existed in every space station, regardless of who built it. In the grand reception chamber, Ilara faced the highest echelons of enclave leadership, Prime Director Zolan. She greeted the central figure, a tall, elegant being with skin like burnished copper. "Humanity appreciates this opportunity for dialogue." "Commander Voss," the Prime Director replied, "your presence here is unprecedented. No quarantine species has ever developed technology sufficient to bridge containment. Perhaps that should tell you something about the validity of your assessment criteria," Ilara suggested. "It tells us that our monitoring protocols require revision," another official interjected coldly. "Nothing more." "High Counselor Mevik speaks harshly but truthfully," Zolan said. "Your achievement, while impressive, doesn't change the fundamental reality. Humanity's psychological profile indicates an unacceptable risk of violent expansion." Ilara maintained her diplomatic composure. "Based on what evidence? Humanity hasn't engaged in global warfare in over a century. We've unified our planet, eliminated resource scarcity, and developed sustainable technologies that could benefit the entire galaxy. All recent developments," Mevik dismissed. "Your historical pattern is clear." "As is yours," Ilara countered. "While you've been lecturing us about violence, you've been systematically stripping resources from dozens of worlds and disappearing anyone who resists." A ripple of discomfort passed through the assembled officials. "These are internal enclave matters," Zolan said carefully, "not relevant to your situation." "They are entirely relevant," Ilara pressed, "because they reveal the truth. The quarantine has nothing to do with protecting the galaxy from humanity. It's about protecting your power structure from competition." Meanwhile, deep within the station, Teleris and the infiltration team had reached the central communication hub. With the access codes provided by sympathetic enclave members, they began transmitting the quantum entanglement receivers to contacts on subjugated worlds. "Transmission at 67%, reported Specialist Zhang. Estimated completion in 12 minutes. Teleris worked furiously at another console. "I'm accessing the restricted archives. The truth needs to be documented." Back in the reception chamber, the diplomatic conversation had devolved into increasingly direct confrontation. "You misunderstand the nature of the galactic order, Commander," Zolan said, his composure slipping. "Stability requires hierarchy. Each species must find its appropriate level." "And who determines that level?" Ilara challenged. "The enclave founding races have consistently placed themselves at the top while relegating others to servitude. Because we understand the responsibilities of power. Mevik burst out. Species like humans develop too rapidly, adapt too readily. You solve problems through radical innovation rather than careful, measured progress. Do you have any idea how dangerous that is on a galactic scale? Dangerous to whom? Ilara asked quietly. Before Mevik could respond, the chamber's displays suddenly activated. Data began streaming across them. Internal enclave communications, classified reports, resource extraction figures from subjugated worlds. What is the meaning of this? Zolan demanded, but his attention was caught by one particular document prominently displayed. The original quarantine assessment of Earth. Species, human. Primary threat factor. Unprecedented adaptive capacity. Recommendation. Permanent containment with option for resource harvesting once technological plateau is confirmed. You never intended to welcome us into the galactic community, Ilara said, her voice steady despite her anger. You were waiting until we stopped developing, so you could strip mine our world like all the others. Security override failing, an automated voice announced. External transmission in progress. Zolan's face drained of color. Stop this immediately. It's too late, Ilara informed him. Right now, every subjugated world in your empire is receiving proof of your true intentions, along with a means to coordinate their resistance. The chamber doors burst open as Enclave security forces rushed in, but they halted in confusion at the scene before them. This human vessel must be destroyed, Mevik demanded. Immediately. I wouldn't recommend that, Ilara said calmly. The Reckoning's defensive capabilities exceed anything in your arsenal. More importantly, we've just established instantaneous communication between every resistance movement in your territory. If you move against us, you'll face simultaneous uprisings on 37 worlds. Zolan stared at her, finally grasping the full extent of what had happened. You've orchestrated a revolution. No, Ilara corrected. You did that through centuries of oppression. We're just providing the opportunity for change. At that moment, Telleris and the infiltration team entered the chamber, accompanied by several Enclave officials wearing distinctive green insignia. The evolutionary cooperativists. Prime Director, said one of them, stepping forward. The Council of Evolutionary Cooperation is invoking the ancient charter, Article 7. When administration fails the greater community, authority shall be rebalanced. This is sedition. Mevik sputtered. This is evolution, the official replied. The very principle our ancestors claimed to champion. In the hours that followed, a new reality took shape. The Enclave wouldn't fall in a day. Its structures were too entrenched for that. But the foundations had been irreparably cracked. A provisional council was formed, with representatives from both the founding species and the formerly subjugated worlds. The quarantine directives were suspended pending review, and a new charter of galactic rights was drafted. As Ilara prepared to return to Earth with the historic news, Telleris approached her on the Reckoning's observation deck. Your people accomplished in days what we couldn't achieve in centuries, the Araxian said. Perhaps the Enclave was right to fear humans, just for the wrong reasons. Ilara watched as ships from formerly quarantined worlds began arriving, responding to the call for a new galactic order. The Enclave feared change, she said. They saw our adaptability as a threat because it reminded them of what they'd lost, the drive to evolve, to question, to become more than they were. And now we all have the chance to adapt together. She turned from the viewport. The galaxy hasn't seen its last reckoning, but at least the next one will be faced by free worlds standing side by side. As the reckoning set course for Earth, carrying news of humanity's new place among the stars, communications channels throughout the galaxy hummed with newfound hope. The prison of carefully maintained stagnation had been broken, and in its place, a more challenging but infinitely more vital future awaited. The stars looked different now, not because they had changed, but because those who gazed upon them had.